All India Radio presents Morning News. Good morning. I am Sarabjit Kaur and with me is Subhadra Ramachandran. The headlines. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to share his thoughts in Mann Ki Baat program at 11 this morning. Prime Minister says reforms in United Nations is need of the hour. Pitches for India's expanded role at the world body. India and Sri Lanka to enhance cooperation in combating terrorism and drug trafficking. Centre orders early procurement of paddy in Haryana and Punjab at minimum support price. Government decides to cap prices of medical oxygen to ensure its availability at reasonable rate. World Tourism Day being observed today. Tourism activities resume in Andaman and Nicobar after 6 months. And in IPL cricket, Kolkata Knight Riders beat Sunrisers Hyderabad by 7 wickets in Abu Dhabi. In our special series on the occasion of 150th birth anniversary of Mahatma Gandhi, we begin this bulletin with Bapu Ki Baat. In his speech, Mahatma Gandhi had talked about Panchayati Raj and said that we are all working for it.
तो मैं कहता हूँ दोस्त तो सही तो मेरे घर के दोस्त रहे, लेकिन वो उनके हाथ में हिंदुस्तान का राज नहीं आ सकता है, तब किसके हाथ में? आप लोगों के हाथ में। लेकिन जो मिस्किन 60 करोड़ देहात में पड़े हैं, हिंदू कहो मुसलमान कहो कोई भी, उन मिस्किनों का राज होने वाला है, उसका नाम पंचायत राज है। वो राज के लिए हम सब काम कर रहे हैं और सब जहमत उठा रहे हैं और भी उठाएंगे।
Prime Minister Narendra Modi will share his thoughts with the people in the country and abroad in the Mann Ki Baat program on All India Radio at 11 this morning. It will be the 69th episode of the monthly radio program. It will be broadcast on the entire network of AIR and Doordarshan and also on AIR News website www.newsonair.com and News on AIR mobile app. It will also be streamed live on the YouTube channels of AIR, DD News, PMO and Information and Broadcasting Ministry. AIR will broadcast the program in regional languages immediately after the Hindi broadcast. The regional language versions will be repeated at 8 in the evening. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has said that reforms in the United Nations is the need of the hour. Addressing the 75th United Nations General Assembly session last evening, Mr. Modi said, India is proud of the fact that it is one of the founding members of the United Nations. He said people of India have been waiting for a long time for the UN reform process to get completed.
संयुक्त राष्ट्र की प्रतिक्रियाओं में बदलाव, व्यवस्थाओं में बदलाव, स्वरूप में बदलाव आज समय की मांग है। संयुक्त राष्ट्र का भारत में जो सम्मान है, भारत के 130 करोड़ से ज्यादा लोगों का इस वैश्विक संस्था पर जो अटूट विश्वास है, वो आपको बहुत कम देशों में मिलेगा। लेकिन ये भी उतनी ही बड़ी सच्चाई है कि भारत के लोग संयुक्त राष्ट्र के रिफॉर्म को लेकर जो प्रोसेस चल रहा है, उसके पूरा होने का बहुत लंबे समय से इंतजार कर रहे हैं। आज भारत के लोग चिंतित हैं कि क्या ये प्रोसेस कभी एक लॉजिकल एंड तक पहुंच पाएगा?
Mr. Modi asked, where is the United Nations in the joint fight against the coronavirus pandemic? He sought to know where its effective response was. He said there were several stellar achievements of UN over the last 75 years, but there were also several instances that point to the need for a serious introspection of the work of the United Nations. Mr. Modi said India has lost the maximum number of soldiers in the course of maintaining peace. He said every Indian aspires for India's expanded role in the United Nations. He stressed that India has always worked for the interests of humankind and not been driven by its own interests. Starting from January next year, India will also fulfill its responsibility as a non-permanent member of the Security Council. Mr. Modi said India will always speak in support of peace, security and prosperity. He emphasized that India will not hesitate in raising its voice against the enemies of humanity like terrorism.
भारत की आवाज हमेशा शांति, सुरक्षा और समृद्धि के लिए उठेगी। भारत की आवाज मानवता, मानव जाति और मानवीय मूल्यों के दुश्मन आतंकवाद, अवैध हथियारों की तस्करी, ड्रग्स, मनी लॉन्ड्रिंग के खिलाफ उठेगी। भारत की सांस्कृतिक धरोहर, संस्कार, हजारों वर्षों के अनुभव हमेशा विकासशील देशों को ताकत देंगे। भारत के अनुभव, भारत की उतार चढ़ाव से भरी विकास यात्रा विश्व कल्याण के मार्ग को मजबूत करेगी।
The Prime Minister said India is moving forward with the vision of Atmanirbhar Bharat. He stated that a self-reliant India will also be a force multiplier for the global economy. He said all efforts are being made to promote women entrepreneurship and leadership. Indian women today are biggest beneficiaries of world's largest microfinancing scheme. He said the rights of transgenders are also being secured through necessary legal reforms. Director General of World Health Organization Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus has thanked Prime Minister Narendra Modi for his speech at the UN General Assembly. In a tweet, the WHO DG thanked Mr. Modi for his commitment and solidarity in fight against coronavirus pandemic. The WHO chief said COVID-19 pandemic can be ended only by mobilizing forces and resources jointly for the common good.
India and Sri Lanka have agreed to enhance cooperation to combat terrorism and drug trafficking. The joint statement on virtual bilateral summit said both countries have decided to continue the fruitful and efficient development partnership in accordance with the priority areas identified by the government and people of Sri Lanka. Prime Minister Narendra Modi and the Sri Lankan counterpart Mahinda Rajapaksa held a virtual summit yesterday in which they discussed bilateral relations and regional and international issues of mutual concern. Mr. Rajapaksa commended the strong leadership shown by Prime Minister Modi in the fight against COVID-19 pandemic based on the vision of mutual support and assistance to the countries of the region. Both the leaders agreed that the current situation presented a fresh opportunity to give added impetus to bilateral relations. Both leaders agreed to work together to expeditiously complete construction of 10,000 housing units in the plantation areas. They also agreed to deepen cooperation in renewable energy with particular emphasis on solar projects under the $100 million line of credit from India. The National Pharmaceuticals Pricing Authority (NPPA) has decided to cap the ex-factory price of liquid medical oxygen at manufacturer's end at 15 rupees 22 paise per cubic meter exclusive of GST. The present situation of COVID-19 has resulted in increased demand of medical oxygen in the country. NPPA said, due to the absence of price cap on liquid medical oxygen, manufacturers have hiked prices to fillers. During COVID, supply of medical oxygen through cylinders has increased from 10% to around 50% of total consumption. It said the price regulation at this end is imperative for continued availability of medical oxygen across the country. Chemicals and Fertilizers Ministry said the demand of medical oxygen has gone up almost 4 times from 750 metric ton per day to 2,800 metric ton per day.
The government has said country's COVID-19 recovery rate has improved to 82.14%. During the last 24 hours, more than 93,000 COVID patients have recovered. The Health Ministry said the total number of recoveries has reached over 48,19,000. The constantly increasing recoveries have ensured that the actual caseload of the country has reduced and currently comprises only 16.28% of the total positive cases. Presently, the number of active cases in the country is 9,60,000, though COVID-19 tally has crossed 59 lakhs. During the last 24 hours, 85,362 new infections were reported. Currently, India's case fatality rate is at 1.58%, which is one of the lowest globally. In the last 24 hours, 1,089 deaths have been reported, taking the toll to 93,379. Good news is coming from Uttar Pradesh on the COVID front, where positivity rate of new COVID patients is on decline after reaching its pinnacle last month. Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath has expressed satisfaction over the remarkable decline in positivity rate of COVID patients in the state in the last 1 week. A report.
Yesterday also, the total number of discharged COVID patients in the state were more than the new cases found. This trend started from last 1 week clearly shows that the spread of infection is on decline. Lucknow still has the highest number of COVID patients. Lucknow administration has also launched a special campaign for a strict adherence of social distancing guidelines and COVID protocol. Around 100 teams have been found for enforcement of COVID protocol. The Chief Minister has also directed to pay special attention to Lucknow and said that the government has deployed high-level administrative officers as nodal officers in a total of 16 districts in the state to control the spread of infection. Sushil Chandra Tiwari, AIR News, Lucknow.
In Madhya Pradesh, the numbers of COVID-19 cases in the state climbed up to around 1,20,000 after 2,311 new cases were reported in the past 24 hours. With 29 patients succumbing to the infection, the death toll rose to 2,181. A report.
There are now 22,228 active cases in Madhya Pradesh. Meanwhile, parole granted to 3,900 odd inmates of Madhya Pradesh jails in view of the coronavirus outbreak has been extended by 60 more days, and they are now expected to be back in their cells only after November end. The state has around 43,000 inmates in 125 jails, of which 3,900 were given parole and 3,000 were granted interim bail. Around 1,000 inmates had tested positive while a district jail official succumbed to COVID-19. Sanjeev Sharma, AIR News, Bhopal.
In Chhattisgarh, the total number of COVID patients has reached nearly 1 lakh even as cases continue to surge in the cities. However, 70,000 patients have recovered after treatment, while 30,000 patients are currently being treated in various hospitals. The interim report of sero-surveillance conducted in the state has been released. More from our correspondent.
The teams of ICMR have recently conducted sero-surveillance in 10 districts of Chhattisgarh. Under the survey, samples were collected from 60 selected clusters in 20 blocks. The interim report of sero-surveillance conducted by ICMR in 3 districts has been released. It indicates that antibodies required for the fight against corona infection has been found in about 8.5% people. A state-level medical oxygen control room has been set up to ensure availability and easy transportation of medical oxygen to various hospitals. This will ensure availability of oxygen to the patients suffering from COVID-19. Vikalp Shukla, AIR News, Raipur.
Gujarat has reported 1,417 new cases of COVID-19 during the past 24 hours. The total cases detected so far in the state have reached up to 1,31,808. We have more from our correspondent.
With the recovery of 1,419 patients yesterday, the recovery rate has reached up to 84.90%. Total 1,11,909 patients have been recovered in the state till now. More than 41,72,000 tests have been carried out till date. At present, total active cases are 16,490, out of which 82 patients are on ventilator. 13 patients died yesterday. Ahmedabad Municipal Corporation has added 8 new areas in the micro-containment zone following detection of new cases. State government has also decided not to organize a vibrant Navratri Mahotsav this year. Yogesh Pandya, AIR News, Ahmedabad.
Odisha reported a record 4,761 recovery from COVID-19 on a single day yesterday. With this, the recovery tally has mounted to 1,70,193. However, the cumulative COVID caseload of the state has further increased to 2,05,452. More details on this from our correspondent.
The single-day record recovery in Odisha is being viewed as a big step towards pushing the vicious virus to the back foot. Not only has the intraday recovery been statewide in overshooting the positive cases, but has also shown a similar outlook in Khordha and Cuttack, the 2 districts reporting the highest inter-district cases for quite a long time now. While in Khordha, the single-day recovery of 1,173 patients has outnumbered the new infection at 902. Adjacent Cuttack too has witnessed a single-day record recovery of 411 patients. The state government is fast coming up with yet another exclusive COVID hospital, having 300 general and 40 ICU beds in capital, Bhubaneswar. Girish Chandra Das, Bhubaneswar.
In Karnataka, the numbers of active COVID-19 cases crossed 1 lakh mark yesterday. According to the State Health Bulletin, 1,01,782 active patients were treated for the viral infection across the state, with the addition of 8,811 new COVID-19 cases reported yesterday. During the same period, 5,417 people recovered from the disease and were discharged from various hospitals in the state. The state recovery rate is 80.51%. 86 COVID patients lost their life and the total fatalities have increased to 8,503. The state conducted 67,857 COVID tests yesterday and the total number of tests have increased to 45,86,780. In an important decision yesterday, the Karnataka government slashed the charges fixed for testing COVID-19 samples sent by the government to private labs from 1,500 to 1,200 rupees. Talking to All India Radio, Dr. Sanjay Pandey of GB Pant Hospital, Delhi said that if we want to maintain good amount of vitamin D in our body, it will certainly protect us from coronavirus infection.
अगर विटामिन डी की मात्रा पर्याप्त हो शरीर में तो कोरोना का संक्रमण माइल्ड होता है, लेकिन यह बिल्कुल शुरुआती परिणाम है और हमें और रिसर्च की जरूरत है। लेकिन ऐसा देखा गया है कि विटामिन डी कई और बीमारियों में भी प्रोटेक्टिव होता है, जैसे हम मल्टीपल स्क्लेरोसिस की बीमारी में देखते हैं, पार्किंसन डिजीज में भी इसके कुछ रिसर्च पेपर हैं जिसमें इस तरह की ऐसी जानकारी मिली है कि विटामिन डी प्रोटेक्टिव होता है और विटामिन डी की मात्रा अगर शरीर में अच्छी है तो कोरोना से लड़ने में फायदेमंद हो सकती है।
You are listening to the morning news on All India Radio. A reminder of the headlines before we move on. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to share his thoughts in Man Ki Baat program at 11 this morning. Prime Minister says reforms in United Nations is need of the hour. Pitches for India's expanded role at the world body. India and Sri Lanka to enhance cooperation in combating terrorism and drug trafficking. Centre orders early procurement of paddy in Haryana and Punjab at minimum support price. Government decides to cap prices of medical oxygen to ensure its availability at reasonable rate. World Tourism Day being observed today. Tourism activities resume in Andaman and Nicobar after 6 months. And in IPL cricket, Kolkata Knight Riders beat Sunrisers Hyderabad by 7 wickets in Abu Dhabi. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on our Twitter handle @AIR News Alerts.
Welcome back. Centre has ordered early procurement of paddy in Punjab and Haryana at minimum support price MSP. The move is aimed at facilitating farmers sell their produce at MSP expeditiously. Harvests of paddy have begun arriving at mandis in Punjab and Haryana, prompting the government to start the procurement process through the Food Corporation of India. In other states, procurement of paddy will begin on October the 1st. Agencies including the Food Corporation of India are in a state of readiness for smoothly undertaking procurement operations. The government is planning to procure 31% of total paddy from Haryana and Punjab. It will procure 113 lakh tons of rice from Punjab and 44 lakh tons from Haryana during the Kharif procurement season. Total rice procurement target has been set at 495.37 lakh tons for the whole country for the year 2020-21 Kharif season. The Ministry of Road Transport and Highways has notified amendments in Central Motor Vehicles rules facilitating implementation of electronic enforcement, maintenance of vehicular documents through information technology portal with effect from 1st of next month. The ministry said use of IT services and electronic monitoring will result in better enforcement of traffic rules in the country and will lead to removing harassment of drivers. The amendment inter alia provides for the definition of challan, the portal to be used for providing services through IT, and further leading to enforcement of electronic monitoring and enforcement.
Minister of State for Personnel, Public Grievances and Pensions, Dr. Jitendra Singh has said that rules have been relaxed for divorced daughters to receive family pension. He said now a daughter will be entitled to receive the family pension even if the divorce had not finally taken place, but the divorce petition had been filed by her during the lifetime of her deceased parent, employee or pensioner. Disclosing this while briefing the media about some of the important reforms brought in by the Department of Pension and Pensioners' Welfare, Dr. Singh said, the earlier rule provided for payment of family pension to a divorced daughter only if the divorce had taken place during the lifetime of deceased parent, pensioner or his spouse. He said the new circular will not only bring ease in the life of pension-receiving individuals, but also ensure respectable and equitable rights for the divorced daughters in the society. Shiromani Akali Dal has snapped its ties with the BJP-led National Democratic Alliance NDA. SAD President Sukhbir Singh Badal announced the decision after a 4-hour-long meeting of the party's core committee yesterday. Addressing a press conference in Chandigarh, he said the core committee at its emergency meeting decided unanimously to leave the NDA on the issue of farm bills.
Karnataka Chief Minister B.S. Yediyurappa has won trust vote in the State Assembly against the no-confidence motion moved by the Congress. After a fierce debate for about 6 hours, the no-confidence motion moved by the leader of the opposition, Siddaramaiah, was defeated by a voice vote. Speaker Kagere said the motion is defeated by the voice vote. Replying to the allegation, Mr. Yediyurappa challenged Mr. Siddaramaiah to prove the charge. The Chief Minister rubbished other charges of Mr. Siddaramaiah and said despite the coronavirus pandemic, the state has done remarkably well. World Tourism Day is being observed today. The theme this year is Tourism and Rural Development. This day is observed on the 27th of September every year to celebrate the unique role that tourism plays in providing opportunities outside of big cities and preserving cultural and natural heritage all around the world. This year's Tourism Day comes at a critical moment as countries around the world look to tourism to drive recovery, including rural communities. In Andaman and Nicobar Islands, various tourism activities will start today after a gap of 6 months. The beaches located in South Andaman district will open for general public this morning. A report from our correspondent.
Lieutenant Governor Admiral D.K. Joshi expressed his joy over resuming of tourism activities by the administration. He informed that under the aegis of Island Development Agency and Niti Aayog, some mega projects are expected to be launched soon. Likewise, the light and sound shows at Cellular Jail and museums have also been allowed to open. However, a limit has been put regarding the number of entrants. Wearing of masks and physical distancing has to be followed at all places. Timings of museums and light and sound shows have been divided into slots. Group photography is strictly prohibited at all places. Tourism activities including water sports, boat rides outside containment zones will be conducted following the issued SOPs. Boats will be allowed to carry only 50% passengers of their total capacity. Gaurav Patwal, AIR News, Port Blair.
News just in. Former Union Minister and senior BJP leader Jaswant Singh passed away in New Delhi following a prolonged illness. He was 82. He had been admitted to Army Research and Referral Hospital in Delhi following a fall at his residence 6 years ago in 2014.
Jammu and Kashmir government have decided to resume the commercial operation of Gulmarg Gondola Section 1 from Gulmarg to Kangdhori on weekends from today. The operations will be carried out only twice a week on Saturdays and Sundays by observing requisite protocols of COVID-19 like maintaining social distancing, sanitization of cabins before and after boarding and deboarding of passengers, along with compulsory wearing of masks by all. Centre and Ladakh Union Territory Administration are focusing on road infrastructure in the region. Several infrastructure projects along the border and inland are being implemented to provide better all-season connectivity to the region. More from our correspondent.
To the existing Srinagar-Leh and Manali highway, the Border Road Organization has made an important alternative route connecting Manali and Leh with new all-weather Darcha-Padum-Nimu road to provide the strategic connectivity to the forces movement without being traced to the neighboring countries. This road cuts the travel time by half and the forces could move from Manali to Leh in 7 to 10 hours. The UT administration has asked the BRO to use latest technology to improve road connectivity in the world's highest motorable roads like Khardungla and Changla during the winter months. These two passes connect the two international borders India share in this part of the world. BRO has already completed construction of 7 bridges in Ladakh region. The AUT administration has specific plans of tunnels at Jojila, Khardungla and Shinkunla. Fire and Fury Corps Major General Arvind Kapoor says,
लद्दाख के पूरे रीजन को 2 मेन हाईवे से कनेक्ट किया गया है। यह है मनाली ले एक्सिस और जम्मू श्रीनगर ले एक्सिस। फायर एंड फ्यूरी कोर में हम इनको बड़े आदर और सम्मान के साथ रोमियो और जुलू एक्सिस से पुकारते हैं। आगे आने वाले दिनों में अटल टनल माननीय प्रधानमंत्री श्री नरेंद्र मोदी इनॉग्रेट करेंगे। दारचा, नीमू, पदम लिंक भी तैयार है।
The roads that are ready for traffic and that are near completion to have not just a strategic but socio-economic importance for the people in the region. Ramesh Chandra, All India Radio News, Leh.
Father of the nation, Mahatma Gandhi's 150th birth anniversary is being celebrated by a grateful nation. There are several incidences in the life of Mahatma Gandhi that have deeply influenced him and in turn the whole nation. One such landmark event is his visit to Madurai in September 1921. Gandhian historians say the visit led him to adopt the loincloth with a shawl, disowning his usual elaborate attire. More on this from our correspondent.
Mahatma Gandhi visited Tamil Nadu, which was then part of the Madras Presidency, 20 times, including 5 times to Madurai. The director of the Gandhi Museum, Nanda Rao, chronicles his Madurai ties.
There is a good relationship for Madurai and Mahatma. During 1990, for Rowlatt Act, he visited Madurai. This is the important event. He adopted the lion cloth in Madurai. Till young, he never wear any shirt. He visited for Swadeshi movement. And next in India, 1934, he visited for Harijan welfare.
The Gandhi Museum at Madurai has 14 articles that were used by Mahatma Gandhi personally. The dress worn by the Mahatma at the time of his assassination is one of the most significant exhibits there. It is only befitting that the city that led Gandhiji to change the attire to a dhoti has become its home. Jai Singh, AAR News, Chennai.
In IPL cricket, Kolkata Knight Riders beat Sunrisers Hyderabad by 7 wickets in Abu Dhabi last night. The KKR made 145 runs for 3 wickets in 18 overs. Opting to bat first after winning the toss, Hyderabad made 142 for the loss of 4 wickets in 20 stipulated overs. In today's fixture, Rajasthan Royals will take on Kings 11 Punjab at Sharjah.
And now let us take a look at the weather update for the day. In the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir, the minimum temperature was 22 degrees Celsius in Jammu, while the maximum will be around 36 degrees. In Srinagar, the minimum temperature was around 12 degrees Celsius, while the maximum will be around 26 degrees. The city will have partly cloudy sky. In Ladakh, the temperature is likely to hover between 11 and 20 degrees Celsius. In Gilgit, the temperature is likely to be between 11 and 28 degrees Celsius. In Muzaffarabad, the temperature is likely to hover between 16 and 30 degrees Celsius, while in Dehradun, the temperatures shall hover between 21 and 33 degrees Celsius. In Chandigarh, the minimum temperature was 22 degrees Celsius, while the maximum will be around 36 degrees.
And now an overview of today's newspapers. Almost all newspapers today lead with Prime Minister Narendra Modi's address to the UN General Assembly. The Hindu states, PM pitches for larger role in UN, while the Statesman writes, Modi makes strong push for UN reforms. Clearing the air on the issue of diversion of GST compensation cess fund for financial year 2018-19, the Financial Express quoting the Finance Ministry states, no diversion of GST cess funds. To curb the menace of underage driving, the Sunday Times on its front page has a picture of scores of Gurgaon residents who came on the streets on Saturday to march together demanding a crackdown on underage drivers and their parents. And finally, age no bar to pursue interest. The pioneer talks of Sharadambal Vishweshwaran, an avid follower of cricket. The caption reads, at 81 she won't miss a ball in cricket.
And now, before we end the bulletin, the headlines once again. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to share his thoughts in Mann Ki Baat program at 11 this morning. Prime Minister says reforms in United Nations is need of the hour, pitches for India's expanded role at the world body. India and Sri Lanka to enhance cooperation in combating terrorism and drug trafficking. Centre orders early procurement of paddy in Haryana and Punjab at minimum support price. Government decides to cap prices of medical oxygen to ensure its availability at reasonable rate. World Tourism Day being observed today. Tourism activities resume in Andaman and Nicobar after 6 months. And in IPL cricket, Kolkata Knight Riders beat Sunrisers Hyderabad by 7 wickets in Abu Dhabi. We leave you with Bapu's favourite bhajan, Vaishnav Jantohe, sung by artists from Maldives.
वैष्णव जन तो तेने कहिए